I've seen a lot of regular season games, and I don't want to make too big a deal out of this. Like, we're 4 games in. It's mid-October. New coach, a lot of new players, but at the same respect, my goodness, to be up 2-0. And actually, to start the game, 11 minutes and 15 seconds without a shot. Sharks didn't get their first shot on goal until Chicago already had 6. And they do get some shots, and then they do get a goal, and then they get a second goal, their first multi-goal lead of the season, and that's how they go into the dressing room. However, it quickly evaporates in the second period. 7:21, Jonathan Toews, 2-on-1. It turns into like a 1-on-none, actually. Kind of walks in and scores. And then Lafferty once shorthanded, then Lafferty twice shorthanded within a span of 2 minutes and 18 seconds. It was just such a quick strike. On 2 different power play opportunities for San Jose, it's mind-boggling. I mean, this is a team that is so good on the penalty kill, right? They're able to be structured, responsible, defensive-minded, right? When they're shorthanded, when they have less bodies on the ice, they're near flawless defensively. And then they get into this situation where they've got the extra attacker, and instead of creating momentum, they get scored on 2 times shorthanded within 2 minutes and 18 seconds. I think what's most frustrating about this game is that you looked at it and said, okay, difficult opponents in Nashville twice and Carolina last night. Okay. But this is the one against Chicago, also winless. This is the one where you establish. You score 2 goals, you get it for the 3rd straight game, you score first. This is the one you get. And this is the one where you start to build on. Instead, this is the one where, quite honestly, of all the losses, I mean, this is easily the worst of this season. This goes down as one of the worst losses of the last couple years in the regular season. It's kind of bizarre when you look at how it played out, but Erik Karlsson was actually on the ice for every single goal tonight, for and against. And so there you have Erik Karlsson, -3. But it did have what turned out to be a goal, actually. Credited to him. I thought it was initially a Couture goal, but must have went off a Chicago skater. So a goal and an assist for Erik Karlsson. I mean, and part of what put San Jose ahead and had them looking good and gave them some momentum, but then was on the ice, I believe, for every single goal after that. Yeah, there he is. Look at this. 65, 65, 65, 65, 65, 65, 65. You look at how Chicago scored tonight. Yeah, a couple shorties, but the overall trend is 1-on-nones, 2-on-1s. You talk about an odd man rush. I mean, 2-on-1 is a grade A scoring chance every time, and 1-on-none is always a prime opportunity to convert. We're not talking about 3-on-2s where it was well defended and Chicago had to. I mean, they put the Sharks in some really bad defensive situations, and this was the opportunity to get the ice broken, right? To score some more goals tonight. You had 2 after 20. Getting to 3 is something that the Sharks have not done this season. That is kind of an issue. 2 or fewer. How many years have Brownie and I been saying that, right? The Sharks holding opponents to 2 or fewer almost always works in giving them a chance to win games. Well, now it's the Sharks through 4 games who scored 1 in Game 1, 2 in Game 2, 1 in Game 3, and now 2 tonight in Game 4. They cannot get to a 3rd goal. Now, would it have helped them tonight? Not when you give up 5, but generally, it gives you a better chance to win the game. It's a difficult trend already, these second periods for the Sharks. They've been outscored, outchanced, outplayed. Is it the long change? I mean, that does affect both teams. It shouldn't be specific to San Jose. Can't put a finger on what it is about that middle frame. And this has cropped up in seasons prior. What does that have to do with now? Largely nothing, to be honest. Like, different team, different players, different strategy, different head coach, but like this thing does exist. I'm not here to say it's an oddity and you can't explain it and there's nothing to it. No, there's got to be something to it. I'm just saying I don't yet have the answer to that. We've only seen 4 games in 4 second periods, but these middle frames are where the games are getting away from the Sharks largely. And there's no question about it. And again, just to review the losses for this team. Game one had a pretty good first period, evenly played against Nashville, odd circumstance, you're in Europe, getting your legs, okay. But then in the final 35 minutes of the game, the Preds take over. They look like the better team. Game two, Sharks put up a better 60-minute effort and, kind of an encouraging 1-goal loss. All right, you played them a lot better. You improved. You'll take it. No problem. You would have loved the split in Prague, but okay. At least there is, there's something behind it. Last night against Carolina, frustrating in a sense that you scored one early, but that's all you got. And then you gave up a late goal in the second period. And then you gave up the game-deciding goal with less than 2 minutes to play. Couldn't hang on in those final 2 minutes after playing, 57 and change quite well and well enough to be in the game, although the Sharks did get heavily outshot and outchanced last night. More outshot than outchanced, but whatever. It's a 116 point Carolina team from last season. So you're playing good teams, the first two opponents, quite well. And then you get to tonight where, again, you're supposed to be able to handle some business against Chicago, at least play with them, at least, make it a very competitive game. It just was not that, which is unfortunate, which is unexpected. And Chicago gets their first win of the season, and the Sharks are still looking for that. Last season started off 4-0. And how exactly did that go? Yeah, it did not end well. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to that 4-0. And there was a lot of momentum, and all of a sudden, maybe the Sharks will surprise us this year. And then they had 7-game losing skids and a 10-game losing streak last year. Like things, they took some huge dents down the way for that team. So here's a team that's starting off 0-4 this year, and I'm just telling you, it's more important about how they progress than how they start. Not even how they finish. I mean, that is interesting, and that's what every fan roots for, like to finish and be competitive in a season, but it's how things progress. 0-4 is not enough to totally sink your ship. It's not a great start. I know it's not the first impression that David Quinn and Mike Grier and some of the new players want to make. Absolutely not. So I don't want to, overreact here. I don't want to make too big a deal out of this. But again, the way this thing fell apart tonight was one of the rougher regular season games we've seen in a long time.